There are different reasons to buy art. Okay, some reasons could be considered as wrong reasons by the dealers. Okay, so if you buy for investment or for speculation, or you want for status, to promote your status or your company. Okay, I gave you the example of Yusaku, Japanese sports wear company, who bought a Basquiat painting for $110 million a couple of years ago to promote his status and status of his company. So, for many dealers, these reasons could not be considered as the intellectual for the intellectual pursuit of art. However, it's part of the art world. Last week's guest, Stefan Simkovits, emphasized on the investment characteristics of the art works, and to some extent, although he doesn't agree, the speculative behavior, is an immediate consequence of this investment behavior, because whenever you feel that this artwork is no longer it has no longer investment characteristics, then you will sell it. So this will create a very frequent selling activities. Is it good, bad? Again, open to discussion, and it's for economists to measure these issues. So some people also buy for decoration, and for some buy because they just want to buy it because other people buy. So we call this keeping up with Joneses. Filancalar almış, biz de alalım şeyiyle. So some collectors, some people collect also, in order to imitate some other collectors, or to purchase some status together. However, it's not easy to differentiate that. And also, in general, artists prefer to sell their works to people very close to the art market, so that they don't buy just one shot as a one-shot game, but they buy on a continuous basis. So these are really we can name them as true collectors. They are dedicated collectors of their artists, so that they are also friends with their artists, and they never get detached of their artists. So so this is about this part of my lecture. So in the second hour, I want to very quickly talk about the second reading, which is the art prices, or art pricing behavior. Okay, so again, why I do that? I believe that these readings are kind of hard to grasp. So that's why I decided to review for you basic points in this topic. So pricing, if we think in terms of microeconomics, okay. So if we go back to Hall and Hitch study, there is a study. They made a study between businessmen. They made a survey. They asked the businessmen, how do you price your products, okay? And then the interviews. In the interviews, they found out that entrepreneurs apply the rule of thumb. They don't use, you will be sad to know that, but and entrepreneurs don't use marginal cost, average cost, all this stuff. when they price, a topic which I myself never liked. Um, so they said we don't use that, and this is like the idea of Herbert Simon. Remember, he also argued that people are not optimizing; they are satisfying. They try to choose the best alternative, which is around them. Okay, so. Um, so there are some quantitative factors for pricing art, which is I mentioned in the I keep mentioning right from the first lecture. Okay, the style of the artist, the year which is produced, provenance, who owned it, and for how long. Condition of the artwork, whether it is broken or not, the existence of a catalogue raisonné of the artist. That means is the all the works are cataloged, the size and the material, aesthetic, and historical importance, the period of the artist. Is it the work in his younger period, or it's a mature work? The gallery of the artist, the fairs, biennials that the artist has, participated, collections, story about the artwork. Remember the artwork of Alican Leblebici. He didn't accept the 50% discount, so that he chopped his painting, sent the half of it to the collector, so that creates a story about this artwork. So there are also qualitative factors, and these qualitative factors are much more difficult to measure. Everything, there is a story about that. Again, I don't think that we will have time to get into the details, but I try to guide you, and please let me know when we reach 5 minutes to 5 o'clock. I want you to stop me. So there are some qualitative factors. How to price. Okay, today as well, we will ask to Joe Kennedy, to Unit London, how you price your artist works. Okay, the artist is young, and you have no idea about this artist. So um, it is found that dealers in general use pricing scripts. Okay, so what is a pricing script? Pricing script is a set of routines. Okay, it's like rule of thumb, which helps dealers to come up to a decision. It's like a cognitive manual of a variety of pricing decisions. Okay, of course, at different stages of an artist's career. Okay, so there are some reference values, of course. There are some conventional maximum, minimum prices for different type and size works in the market. So these pricing scripts depend on the reputation of the artist and the size of the artwork. Uh, you know, uh, the galleries in general, they say that we don't price according to quality of the work. Okay, they avoid that. Okay, so because quality also depends on the taste of some collectors. So these scripts lend some structure, some consistency, some stability, and some predictability to price mechanisms. Okay, so there are some scripts, and these scripts answer certain questions. Okay, so how entrepreneurs identify and perceive supply and demand factors, how they understand them, how they subsequently translate them into prices, and how they adjust prices. It's really basically that's what the art dealers do. They find a price for an artwork, and this is art in itself. It's a complex decision mechanism, and then, as I said, it needs a certain parameters. There is not enough information. You need to have some rule of thumb to decide. So all these, of course, this notion of scripts creates greater uncertainty, and greater uncertainty will cause rule government behavior to exhibit increasingly predictable regularity. So since art market is so unpredictable, there are so many uncertainties, you try to eliminate certain uncertainties to follow certain scripts. Okay, so if this is oil on canvas, and if the size is X square meter, and I'm gonna charge it that way. If the artist is young, if the artist is established, then I'm gonna double it, etc. So these scripts, of course, depends on from region to region, and in general, in each community, in each city and market, they are shared. Okay, so and dealers exchange this information among each other, and they ask their colleagues, and these are not written rules, but these are a form of tacit knowledge, a knowledge shared among the market participants. Okay, and prices are formed like following an imitation process. Okay, there are do's and don't do's, and people may commit some mistakes. And again, art market, we can consider art market as a monopolistic competition. There are many galleries, and each gallery has its own monopoly in its market, and art dealers are price makers in this sense. Okay, so there are some economic rationalities for these scripts, and they help people to understand and estimate the quality of an artwork, um, and they make uncertain art market more transparent. They help people to understand the value, and in general, they are stable in the short run. But in the long run, things may change. There are some, large scale changes, like industrial revolution changes, like in Renaissance, the rise of notion of genius we see, and then we see the development of modern and contemporary art. We see the rise of superstar artists. So then, of course, pricing scripts adjust to these long-term changes. Of course, when we talk about art market, it's continuous accumulation of uncertainty with respect to artistic and economic value of art. It is always open to discussions, open to, question marks, and people may not agree, of course, but there are some, to some extent, in some markets, there are some common acceptance for certain notions, and pricing scripts have had markets to achieve that. Okay, so when the rise of an artist, from craftsmanship to artist, okay, how it happened? It happened, when the concept of artist happened when a collector, or at that time, rich people who ordered the commission asked the following thing: I want this work to be performed only by the hand of the artist. Okay, so insistence of that created the whole new game. Okay, so from that point onward, then we see the rise of the importance of the name of the artist, not the work or the craftsmanship which is produced. Okay, and in this sense, for example, that's why, for example, Salvator Mundi, whether it was done completely by Da Vinci or not, was a big question, because if it is 100% under the hands of Da Vinci, the price will be different. If it was just touched a little bit, like 5% under the hands of Da Vinci, then prices will be different. Okay, so at that time, again, what is the difference between pre-Renaissance and after Renaissance? That means before the, in the craftsmanship period, people were ready to buy even a copy of an artwork. All they wanted is to have a portrait of their family, or portrait of the baron, with his wife and kids, and the the animal, dog or whatever. So there was a story, and the story was just produced by by the artists, and there were many artists, and they were paid by the hour, by the material. For example, how many portraits they will do, and if you want your portrait to be more detailed, then you have to pay a little bit more price. So everything depends on the cost, the time, the labor incurred in these products. And again, I repeat, at that time, people were happy to have a copy of the artwork. The pricing of an artwork was based on the, rare pigments and material. So our spend was the, basic method of pricing, and also the details, as I said, the details in the picture. However, we see that these things starting to change. And when the demand increased, what happened in 17th century, for example, in Dutch guilds, artists couldn't finish the artworks, and they started to do very fast works, and then they spent fewer time to draw these paintings, and we see an increase in demand, as well as a decrease in prices of these artworks, because there were too many artists producing too many artworks, because they decided to chop the time and the details of these artworks. Okay, so then gradually we see that things change from craftsmanship, we move to genius. Then that generates a new set of determinants for value, for price of an artwork. And of course, that creates lots of problem. Okay, so if you want a particular artist to do your work, then you have to recalculate all the pricing. So that created the uncertainty into this art market for the first time. Actually, we can't even talk about the name of an artist, becoming more important, and subject matter became less important, but the views, the feelings of the artist, became more important. And we see the concept, creative individual, the rise of bohemian artist, creative individual, which become more important. Again, in 17th century, prices also depended on the topic. Okay, so if it was landscape, it was cheaper, but if it was a religious theme or a historical painting, they were always more expensive, because they required a little bit more details. But then we see gradually from 17th century, and we arrived to 19th century, and we focused on this bohemian creative individual whose name is important to price the work, because characteristics of the artist become the most important. The name, okay, so it was produced by Picasso, it was produced by Dali, became much more important than how it was produced, with which material it was produced. And of course, while pricing became difficult, measuring the willingness of collectors, how much collectors are willing to pay, became more and more difficult, starting from this point. And coming to contemporary art, it is a whole different game. It is really it's like a game of perception. It's really arbitrary. It's like a wild guess. You cannot compare easily artists' works. You may some galleries say, okay, I just put prices and I start to wait and pray for collectors to come and buy. So it's really arbitrary. It is subjective. It's game of perception. It's like a mystery. Of course, there is a logic behind that. The price of an artist must be reasonable in relation to other works. Okay. So I want to say a few more words about that. And I think I have to maybe just say a couple of words and finish this recording. Maybe we can continue later on discussing. Just let me say something. I will quit this meeting, and then we will reopen a new meeting. Here, I want to skip something, and I want to come to the most important part, which is the I want you to put a bit more emphasis on Robert and Ethel Scully collection sale. We will discuss why this sale is important. It is similar like this is the Rauschenberg work. This is the picture of Robert and Ethel skull. This is the first contemporary art auction organized. It was organized in 1973. It is very important for contemporary art world, global contemporary art world. So for this reason, we will discuss more about that. Now I will stop. I will stop my discussion here, and we will continue. And again, so let me